Hello, and welcome to Final Show Films. I'm John, the executive producer here, and I've got a few pre-show notes for you. First, a reminder. All of the content we produce is available on our website at finalshowfilms.com, as well as youtube.com/Senstaku, senstaku.podbean.com, twitch.tv/Senstaku, and on iTunes. We are only able to do the things we do thanks to the kind support of our Patreon donors. We give a special shout out to our $25 tier supporters, Antitonic and Cat Waterflame. If you'd like to support us that way, be sure to check it out. Secondly, a thank you to the folks over at 411mania.com. They produce articles and content related to wrestling, MMA, movies, music, and gaming. Go check them out. We appreciate their support as well. And lastly, be sure to subscribe, comment, and rate, if possible, wherever you listen to or watch our content. It helps us know what you like, what you don't like, and helps us make more content. Feedback is always appreciated. With all that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Welcome, one and all, to In Grover Green, Episode 12, our season finale. To introduce you to our cast of characters, I am Jack, the storyteller for this chronicle, and starting next to me is John.
I'm John, and I'm playing Nero Phyrus, the elemental fireheart, whose mic is apparently too hot. Hang on.
And William.
I am William, and I'm playing Phage O'Flanagan, the Ogre Bristle Grinder.
And Aaron.
Hi, I'm Aaron, and I'm playing the Ferris Dancer Flowering Gale.
Jeremy.
I am Jeremy, and I'm playing Darkling Grave White Adele.
And Raphael.
Hi, I'm Raphael, and I'm playing Anthony Neofly Miller, the Darkling Night Singer.
And Holly.
Hi, I'm Holly. I'm playing Lark, the Beast Windwing, and that's Griffin.
And that's Griffin in the background. And Mara.
Hi, I'm Mara, and I'm playing Liz, the Wizened Oracle.
And when last we left our little band of individuals who are making their way through their return to the city of Baltimore from their long and arduous captivity in the wilds of Arcadia, y'all were at the convocation, a citywide meeting of all changelings to determine exactly how you were going to structure your society moving forward. And as Mr. Glare, a cyclopean ogre, opened the evening by tapping on a glass and welcoming everyone with a very brief speech, he then steps to the side where this little stage is set up, pulling a small black cloth back where it rests over top of a rectangular object of some sort. Turns out to be some sort of radio boombox combination. And he carefully reaches over, turns a dial experimentally, and then a voice crackles on over the airwaves. Welcome to the convocation, kithmates and cousins. DJ Utzel here, as many of you know and many of you don't. Tonight, the Autumn Ruler will be chosen, and hopefuls to all the courts will be accepted. Or not. Who knows what the evening will hold for you? The future is always in flux. So hold fast to your fear, your sorrow, your desire, your wrath. Common enemies have we all, so keep your best eye clear and your sharpest ear open. Opportunity and doom stalk these halls hand in hand, and we'll need strong wills and arms to survive the darkness before daybreak, even as we all enjoy these revels here tonight. There's a bit of a tone, and then Glare reaches over and clicks off the radio. Well, wise words from the voice of Baltimore. Welcome once again. Will be about our business. Those of you who are changing courts or selecting them for the first time, this will be your opportunity, initially. Find your families and step forward. And he steps down off the stage. And there's a bit of a beat where it seems like everybody's a little unsure of what to do or where to go, but very slowly people begin breaking off and maneuvering across the banquet hall There's a number of small rooms that lead off to various other areas deeper inside the lower level of this event venue. And people seem to be splitting off and going in separate directions. What are each of you planning on doing?
I would like to see what Adele does, because presumably Adele knows what's happening, and I'm not sure if we're supposed to get together with our motley, or if we're supposed to get together with our desired court.
Make a wits and politics.
Gil similarly is trying to essentially read how this social breakup is happening, what instructions have been delivered.
Okay, you can make a wits and politics as well.
Roll 20. Why are you lagging?
Neofly probably at this point, along with Phage's help, is still trying to keep Sunset Blue occupied.
One success.
She actually vanished at some point during the opening announcements. Drifted away fairly stealthily. You notice as you're looking around, trying to catch her eye. Yeah, she's nowhere to be found.
One success.
One success for Nero. 2 successes for Gale. You guys see as you're looking around, trying to take your cues from the room. You definitely see that individuals that you know are in motleys together are beginning to split off a little bit. There's Flish Flash and Tessa Dancing from the Walkabouts are going off in one direction, while Wanderwind, the ogre, the Farwalker, is going somewhere else.
It
doesn't seem to be assembling with your motley.
The two that we know.
Any I know as being Summer Court matching up.
Give me a wits and composure.
The two that we know that wandered off, are they the same kith or not?
Nope.
Or so they're not both. Kind of one of them is a changeling. The other one of them is an elemental. The other one isn't.
Right. Yeah. No. Tessa's a Fairest.
Okay.
One of them isn't a changeling. That raises
that raises some significant questions.
That was supposed to be. Yeah, I would like to check and see. Same thing. Do I associate courts with people?
Okay. Gale, as you're looking around, you see War Dancer head off, very determined in her stance, very purposefully, towards a door on the left-hand side from where you're standing. And behind her are a couple other people that you recognize from participating in the cannonball relay race that you guys witnessed and some of you participated in outside the Fort McHenry.
Phage is trying to see if she can figure out where Sunset or any other Spring Court members have wandered off to.
Neofly's doing the same.
Adele's already
wits and composure.
Completely gone from the group at this point, just wandering through the others.
And if I spot where Summer Court people are going, I'll head that way then.
And Neofly, you're just kind of lost in the crowd at this point. Everybody's moving very quickly, and there's just so much visual information coming in. This is the largest number of changelings you've ever seen in a room, and honestly, the variations on the mean is just, it's a little overwhelming. And it's a little unnerving as well, because this reminds you very, very strongly of the balls that the Comtesse de Chasseur used to hold when you were in your durance, that you would have to perform at. But, just a room full of these wildly aspected individuals.
One.
So having sort of noticed where Summer is going, Gale will sort of float over to Nero. Well, we might as well be on our way, given our nations seem aligned.
Indeed. And I'll offer an arm to Gale.
Take it. guide without being in front of him.
Lead from the back.
Do that.
Like,
do that.
go deep
Rich
this
shoulder in that direction.
without like stepping up and actually leading.
Okay.
Adele
Paige, as you're glancing around, there's a fairly boisterous crew headed towards a door closer to the entrance of the room, just off to the right-hand side. You haven't really made much a connection with anybody that you identify with as Spring.
I also haven't
But they
met many
seem
people.
Right, but they seem to be kind of your type of people.
I lean over to Neo. That seems like that's our party.
Well, then let's get going.
All right. And I walk with Neo over that way.
Yep.
What are the other three of you up to?
So
Del?
while she's moving around, she's making a show of basically drifting aimlessly as she's tracking who's going to what. She's figuring out who's going where. She's doing recon basically.
Okay, are you looking for anybody in particular?
Everybody, she recognizes which direction they're going.
Okay.
Matter of survival for her.
Sure. Walkabouts are mostly headed towards the front of the room.
Okay.
Except for Wanderwind, who has basically just taken a chair at one of the tables and is drinking a very tall glass of water. And seems to be quite content to just sit and wait.
Okay.
You see a number of the haunted waters heading off. They're headed sort of to the very far back of the area. There's a slight curtain partition set up, but you think you can hear a door open and close as people pass behind the curtain.
Okay. I'm sorry, haunted who?
Haunted waters. That's like a
Okay.
Will,
Yeah.
Acacia Thorn, Gilly.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it seems to be fairly even split. There's probably a few more headed behind the curtain currently than there are anywhere else. But there's quite a number that are just kind of sitting around the room. The largest contingent, honestly, is just seated in the open area.
All right. And once she's got
people that don't seem particularly inclined to make a given choice, at least not at this moment.
Right. When she's got that, she's gonna focus in on all of these sad people and watch which direction they're going.
I don't know what you're calling sad.
Give it time.
Liz, Lark, what are your guys' choice?
I don't really know where I'm going or what I'm doing. Liz is gonna wander around and explore. because she's never been in this building, and that is what she does.
All right.
Going, opening doors, and finding out what's...
There's about 6 doors leading off into these areas. Plus the entrance, which is currently being guarded by the couple people who were standing at the doors before. Keys and Mr. Glare are both just standing there, kind of shoulder to shoulder. 2 solid big ogres who are just...
Okay, they look official.
Yes.
I'm avoiding them.
Yep.
I'm avoiding them and probably starting at the one opposite them and going counterclockwise.
Okay. And Lark, what are you up to?
Are the courts kind of like breaking off into their own?
That does seem to be
sections?
what's happening right now. At least 3 of them are. Phage and Neofly have headed towards where they think Spring is. Nero and Gale are headed off towards what looks like Summer.
All right.
And then there's the big group going back behind the curtain.
We Okay, just because I don't remember if we know this or not. We know Gilly at least is part of Autumn Court, right?
Yep.
Yeah, essentially.
So that would probably
Okay. So is she able to tell with knowing that, like, where Autumn would be?
Yeah, it looks like Autumn's all going behind the curtain.
Okay, she's gonna go that direction. Kind of follow them.
All right. Liz, as you poke around, the first place that you open is a closet full of, but it's like a big closet, all just packed with chairs. The ones that you can sort of stack up on top of each other and put on wheelie racks. Yeah. There's probably a good 70 or 80 chairs in here, and a couple of round tables with their legs folded up leaning against the wall. A couple racks of what looks like unopened boxes of plasticware.
Ooh.
Couple sheets of napkins.
Ooh. He used plastic forks to eat spider webs, so I'm gonna open one of the boxes and take some forks. Just like 3 or 4.
Okay.
And then head to the next door.
Okay. The next door is the one that Nero and Gale have just gone through.
Okay. That was Summer. Summer's freaky. I'm just gonna kind of listen at the door for a little bit.
Okay. So Nero and Gale, as you guys go inside, the chairs in this room are sort of just kind of haphazardly scattered around, and a war dancer and Sledge are standing up towards the front of the room. A couple people are seated, but most people are still standing around in knots. And they kind of glance up as you come in. Sledge gives you a broad smile and sort of points a finger toward the table at the front of the room. As you guys step up, there's simply a clipboard, number of pens, and a bunch of blanks for names. There's a few signatures that have already gone on.
I'll sign my name
Okay.
and then hand the pen to Gale.
Take it. Sign this one.
Right. Excellent. And give me a wits and investigation list. -1.
Okay.
I was excited for a minute, and then it was Liz. It's like,
Hey.
She's the one eavesdropping outside the door.
no, it's true. It's
Dell's
true.
going to come up behind Liz.
Okay.
One success.
So you hear, kind of muffled, but a voice from the other side of the door. Low, resonant, sounds fairly masculine. Well, we're the first line of defense and the first line of offense. When it comes to handling the shit that goes down around here, we're going to be the ones they come to. Now, we've got some objectives. We've got some ideas in mind, and for those of you that are new to the place, well, it's worth your while to figure out what we're all about. First off, protection and defense. Borders are dangerous. We don't know what's out there. And what we do know is out there is not terribly reassuring. As far as people who can help us with that, some of the mystics in the other courts, they've got a lot of knowledge. If you can cultivate any connections there, might be worth your while. We're also going to need as many resources as we can manage. We're going to need to find some allies as well. People that might not be in the know as far as what's going on, but if you've got some folks on the street, mundane or otherwise, that you can call on when shit gets squirrely, well, that can be helpful. Whether they're changelings or humans, sometimes all you need is somebody who can point a gun. War Dancer has made her views on this next item known, and there's, of course, loyal opposition within the ranks, as always, which we appreciate. But it might be worth our while to see what we can pull as far as official influence as well. Having ourselves in with whether that's civil or local politics, law enforcement, that sort of thing, those would be some good connections to forge also. If we can get with the Mystics from Autumn or something, that'll help us keep track of what's going on in the hedge. But the humans are the ones that usually have the best information of what's going on the street. So, if any of you have inclinations that direction, talk to me. Any questions? Nothing? All right. Well, we'll be making the rounds and talking to you. Make sure everybody's in the right place then. So that's what you hear, Liz.
Okay.
So coming up behind, Adele will just put her fingers on your shoulders. Best not to eavesdrop. I'm sure they prefer either going in or not. And she just
Fine.
smiles and then drifts back away.
Fine.
She's going to head
on.
towards the back now.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you head towards the back, there's the black curtain, and then stepping beyond it, there's just a single unadorned door. But as you grab the doorknob, it's chilly, almost a little wet, like it's condensing slightly. If you open the door, you go inside, and it's surprisingly well lit. A number of oil lamps have been set up, and it's got a slightly rustic feel to it, but reasonably comfortable inside. And there's a number of people just sort of all huddled around, murmuring quietly to themselves. And there's a large teapot sitting towards the front with just stacks of mugs and some steam curling out of the spout. Anybody who sees you come in gives you a very appraising glance. Some of them will offer a very brief smile. But it looks like everybody's just sort of milling about for the moment.
Perfect.
Liz, did you go in Autumn as well, or are you still drifting around the main room?
Yeah, I would have come. I think I'd come with.
Okay. So, Lark, Adele, Liz, all three of you are in this room.
Mm-hmm.
The teapot.
Uh-huh. Every once in a while, somebody will step over and pour themselves a small cup of tea. Doesn't look like anybody actually fills their mug entirely, and sip it very briefly.
Well, that sounds good. I'll go get a cup of tea.
Okay.
Adele does not.
All right.
Poison.
Listen, I've eaten a weird mushroom. Or not even eaten. I just absorbed it.
Liz, as you step up, there's steam pouring out of the spout of the teapot, but as you grab the handle, it is icy cold, almost painfully so.
Okay.
You pour into the cup. It's definitely a hot beverage that comes out. But you set the teapot down. You have a cup of tea, and as you're looking at it, it's very, very fresh tea, like to the point where there's leaves in it and whatnot. Definitely a unique blend or brew.
Okay. I don't sip it. I drink the entire thing straight down.
Make a resolve and stamina. -2.
Okay. I don't know what it's made out of. I'm gonna drink it though. -2. Yeah, that's 0 successes.
You get about 2 swallows before you take 1 lethal damage. This is boiling hot. And
Okay.
you have to sort of like do the whole, oh god, and kind of, blarp it back into the cup a little bit.
Mhm.
And yes, you have definitely burned the inside of your mouth pretty badly.
That's it. You should be careful. I go over to Adele. You should be careful with that. That's
You
very
need to be careful
hot.
with that. It's really
Yes,
hot.
exactly. That exactly.
All right,
yeah.
I don't plan on drinking it.
Everyone
anytime
else
soon.
is drinking it.
Yes,
Maybe
but
this is what we're supposed to do.
I prefer to see if any
There's
of them die
nothing
from
going on in
poisoning
this
first.
room.
No, there's a lot going on in this room.
there's
It's just
plenty
all
going
very,
on in
very
this room.
quiet.
Yeah.
Lark is going to go over and get a cup of the tea.
Okay. All right.
But she's just going to get a little bit.
Right. Your experience is very much the same. The pottery of the teapot is bitterly cold. But whatever's inside is extremely hot, and that heat is transferred to the mug itself. Whatever weirdness is about the teapot does not seem to be affecting the cups. And yeah, it smells faintly herby, rose hippie.
Do you feel any different after
No.
You're not getting particularly cold in your extremities, feverish?
Am I supposed to be?
Hopefully not.
I
You can never
hand you
tell.
my cup and leave.
And then there's a little murmur as somebody opens another door and comes in further back down in the room with a number of slips of paper in a big glass fishbowl looking thing.
He goes over and moves next to Lark at this point.
Okay. Sets it on the table. And then pulls out 2 inkwells and a pair of quills and just sort of sets them in very ceremoniously. We shall have to choose a king or a queen or a ruler, possibly an emperor. Whatever title the winner feels befitting and is acceptable to those around and beyond, making a very brief gesture to the door that everybody came in. It is our season of primacy, and we shall have to ensure that everything is done properly. The individual speaking is very, very thin, with a almost papery skin texture. Single pair of very small glasses that perch on near the end of their nose. And says, after looking over, who among you feels capable of taking on this burden? For the freehold's good, of course. And then just steps to the side and waits to see if
Adele's
anybody steps up.
curious.
After about a
Go
moment
with-
or two,
Yeah.
an individual wearing a very formal suit, looking for all the world like a mortician almost. Very long but combed back hair that seems to just disappear down and inside the collar of his suit. Steps forward. John Coffin, I would submit myself as ruler for this season of autumn.
And is that someone who's familiar to me at all?
Give me an intelligence and I'll say either politics or streetwise. One of the two.
Definitely streetwise.
Okay.
I have streetwise. I don't know why that was 9 again. Oops. But yeah, no.
Okay. You've heard the name once or twice, but you don't know anything about him.
Okay.
And then Gilly steps up. I'll submit myself, if you'll have me. There's things that I think the Freehold needs. I think that we need to be sure that we understand what's around us, that we establish areas of safety for our members to assemble, that we manage to keep everyone informed as best we can. If they know what's going on, then they'll know how to respond. We'll have to walk a fine line between making sure everybody has as much knowledge as they need, but not so much that they're a danger to themselves or others. I think that we can do this if we work together, if we share what we can and hold secret what we need to. And John Coffin just sort of puts a finger against his cheek a little bit and looks down his nose towards Gilly. And all of a sudden there's just a burst of autumn leaves. It just flies out from his cuffs of his pants and his coat, sort of obscuring the stage briefly there for a moment, and then they just evaporate into dust and ash that doesn't actually settle on the floor, it just vanishes into nowhere. Well, that's what I think. And the individual that brought out the fishbowl and the pen and ink kind of glances around to see if there's any last-minute respondents. But if he sees none...
Yeah, what the fuck?
Fucking good.
He doesn't say anything particularly, unless she's questioned.
She's not questioned yet.
But yes, she steps forward and simply sort of inclines her head.
There's a very brief murmur. This was not expected, apparently. And John and Gilly both sort of look at you. Gilly gives you a grin. There's a tinge of friendliness to the grin, but there's definitely more grin than there is friendliness.
Yes, of course. I submit.
Do you follow that up with anything or just those two words?
Simply that.
Okay. Give me a presence and expression roll then.
Okay. Great, but expression is quite good. I will spend a willpower point.
Yes, you can.
Do it. You got this.
Not 33.
Glad to see the moxie of the Motley.
3 successes.
3 successes. All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's a respectable showing, I'll say.
We get our ruler.
just like the straight mafia boss. Yeah, I'll do it.
Yep.
Put my cards on the table. Kings full of aces.
So Tag, the antiquarian who's sort of running the little event here, sort of ushers you 3 off to a corner.
Mhm.
Well then, for our season ruler, we have the esteemed John Coffin, the esteemed Gilly, and the esteemed Adele. Form an orderly line, please, and make your votes. Okay, so people will begin filing into line, pulling out a slip of paper, writing a name on it, closing it, and handing it to Tag, who accepts it and slips it into a pocket. You notice he's wearing a kind of tattered and threadbare leather coat. That it's not quite a long coat. It doesn't come all the way down, but it definitely reaches close to his knees. And he's just taking each vote and slipping it into a pocket. There seem to be about 5 or 6 pockets on this thing. And doesn't seem to be taking them in any given pattern. So, Liz and Lark, how are you guys voting?
Well, I said I left because I spat out my tea and then was done with this.
Oh, so you were leaving
Standing
the room?
around in, yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So, as you go to the door,
Yep.
there's no doorknob.
Oh.
Ba-ba-bum.
You're stuck.
Liz is quietly in the background, just sort of like trying to get the door open. I try and stick my hand through. This is like the hedge, the way we got into the hedge, the way we got into our hollow. So I'm trying to like push through the same way.
So you're trying to open a gate to the hedge through the closed door?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no!
Roll your weird.
Okay.
Remember that whole calling the cops thing that Liz did? Now it's time for calling the keepers.
Yeah, no. Liz has topped herself, and it's amazing.
This is
Does Lark see what she's doing?
Make a wits and composure.
Okay.
I haven't rolled yet. I'll wait until after you do yours.
All right. Wits and composure.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to be like, I'm not hiding this. I'm leaving. This is how you leave places where there are no doors.
1 success.
So yes, Lark, you do see her sort of feeling around the edge and then getting that look on her face like, I'm going to do a thing.
In the background, amidst all the voting, we just see, like, it's one of those sort of background things in a scene, like tackling Liz, chasing
Out
back
of
and
curiosity, does Liz get like an intelligence thing to see if this is going to end badly or not?
We'll get there.
Okay.
Lark is going to sigh heavily and walk over and just put her hand on Liz's shoulder.
I'm just trying to leave.
Perhaps we should wait until after the voting. I'm sure it will be easier to leave then. Let's be respectful of them right now. She starts
That's
to
when you notice
pull
that
her by the arm.
you're joined by a third figure.
Oh dear.
It's Will. The
Okay.
ones that you guys escorted to were the accompanying
Okay.
to the market. And he comes over with a sort of half smile. Well, lists.
The door's shut.
That's because you chose.
I did?
You walked through.
Oh. I didn't know what that meant.
Choices have consequences, even ones that don't seem like they're very important at the time. You're one of us now, girl.
Oh. I sit down. Right there. What's
What are
going
you
on?
afraid of?
I don't know what's going on.
What's going on right now is that I'm asking you what you're afraid of.
Lots of things. I'm edging away. You right now?
Good. Very good. And what are you doing with that?
I'm sitting here right now. I'm not going to try and leave.
What's it feel like? Your fear.
This is the most autumn conversation I've ever heard.
Like a spring.
Spring's part of a machine.
Mm-hmm.
Drives gears, right?
Usually, yeah. Unless it explodes in a tunnel.
So what's this spring driving your gears toward?
I don't know.
Well, you vote, and then you figure that out.
Lurk is going to look at Will. So we're part of Autumn now.
The door lets you in.
All right. She raises her hand and steps forward. I'd like to submit my name.
Tag gives you a very, very wide grin. And you notice that he doesn't have teeth. He has typewriter keys. I'm so sorry. The time has passed. Next year.
All right.
And he just sort of gestures towards the papers and pens.
She's going to grab one.
Okay.
And
Whose name
will-
are you writing down?
She's going to grab one for Liz, too. And hand
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
She's writing Adele.
Okay.
And before Adele
I
wins
write
by being
Gilly.
a third party.
Damn it, you're a spoiler candidate.
Will eventually stand up and go cast his vote as well. And Liz, what are you doing?
Well, I voted, and after that,
You voted for Adele as well? I missed
No, I voted for Gilly.
it. Oh, you voted for Gilly.
Yep.
Okay. All right, then. Now, let me see here. Time to roll some dice and see what happens for an election, then.
That's the vote. That's the vote that costs Adele the win.
And Liz was never heard from again. No.
You don't know.
It's the motley. It just ends up. It's done by electoral college votes. See, which is determined by area.
So, given the general deportment of the room,
Mm-hmm.
and factoring in the successes that Adele rolled on her presence and expression, according to the dice, it is now a 3-way tie.
Of course it is.
That is
So I'm going to have to re-roll this real quick.
Oh my god.
Amazing.
Please, I love a three-way tie.
They all have to roll together.
How do you have a
Well,
court and a
that's-
court? That's amazing.
Technically, it couldn't be a three-way tie because there is an odd number of people in this room.
Yeah, I'm
And
curious.
not
How many
evenly
people
divisible by
are
three.
there total?
9.
Okay.
That's when you go out to the other courts and go, hey, who do you think?
No, if there's 9 people in the room,
No, there's 13 people in the room right now.
okay, now there's 10. Yeah, so there's 10 actually voting.
Mm-hmm. But it comes out to, by a whisker, Gilly. There's a very polite, calm round of applause, and yes, it was Liss's vote. That's how
Of course
it
it
works. Like math. 3 and 4, Jesus Christ. So yeah.
Adele does not look upset
Okay.
in the slightest over it.
And Gilly sort of inclines her head, and this is about as sedate and somber as any of you guys have seen Gilly. She's usually projected a fairly positive, upbeat vibe when you guys have encountered her either at the house or on the street before. She was the first changeling you met on exiting the hedge. But there's an extra level of sobriety to her at this point. She goes and she pours herself a full cup of tea, takes a small sip of it. Well, I guess I'm Queen Gilly. Your very good health, brothers and sisters. She raises her glass. There's a little, mostly just inclined heads, a few smiles, some very, very light applause that's almost non-existent. And welcome to our newest official members. She points out the 3 of you, who are officially members of the Autumn Court now, and another individual called Ainsley Heath, who has a kind of a wooden texture to her. She's not wooden in her personality, but just everything, all of her exposed skin just looks like wood. She's got some leaves growing through her hair and that sort of thing.
She's a mannequin, which is the actual name of that kith.
No, it's not. And she glances around. Well, I'm very clear that I can't do this all by myself. So,
Wood blood.
I'll be needing assistance from those of you that trust me and are willing to accept my trust in return. That might be business for a bit later. I think initially, once we leave this room, the question of a freehold commons will be the first thing that I present to the freehold itself. We'll need to figure out a place that we can call our own on at least a moderately, if not completely permanent basis, where those of our nature can assemble in safety, associate, meet, find what they need, communicate, swap favors and services, make pledges, that sort of thing. I'm sure you all understand what I'm getting at. You notice she's a little nervous right now. But we'll spend a few more moments in here, make sure everyone feels comfortable. And there's kind of a significant laugh at that. Comfortable in the Autumn Court, sure.
Yeah.
And she smiles and says, well, I'll come around and speak to y'all then. And she steps down and immediately goes and murmurs a few words to John Coffin, shakes his hand, and then comes straight to Adele. Well, Del,
Congratulations.
thank you. I kind of quirks her head to the side a little bit as if she's trying to decide whether or not to say something. I know you're worried about what you left in the hedge. We can talk about that a little later and
Of course.
see what can be done.
And of course, should you need anything, you only need to ask.
I appreciate it. I'll probably be calling on you and maybe some of your other motley mates. I have some ideas about the commons.
Wonderful.
Excellent. And she goes to make the rest of the rounds.
Okay.
Liz, you're still sitting by the back wall, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You notice that the doorknob's back.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna leave.
All right. Which will take us to the third room. So as you guys enter, Phage and Neo, you definitely see Sunset in there. There's a number of other individuals as well. And you see a large ogre, another gristle grinder, standing there. He's got a white button-down shirt. The buttons are almost straining to breaking.
Fancy.
His necktie is tied around this massive neck, so it's a little short.
He looks like a meat locker.
Right, and it's kind of swept off to the side a little bit. He is constantly having to adjust it back, but as soon as he turns, it drifts off center again.
Fancy meat locker.
Sunset is leaning up in a corner, holding something in a piece of stemware, murmuring quietly, and then just laughing gaily to some joke that somebody makes next to her. And then there's another individual who just has foliage all scattered through his hair, coming out the cuffs of his clothing, forming a very high collar around his neck. There's the occasional vine or root that seems to be growing out and then back into his exposed forearms. And he's very blatantly just smoking a joint right in front of everybody. And occasionally somebody will come up and he'll hand them off one as well. There's alcohol, there's food off to one side, and it's just everybody's just relaxing and enjoying themselves currently.
That kind of party.
Seems
Neil?
like a relatively calm party.
Very much.
Yeah,
so.
it's not boisterous. It's not really loud. There are occasional peaks of volume as somebody responds to something that someone says, but for the most part, it's a fairly low-key but definitely unrestrained atmosphere.
Neofly is gonna just kind of drift off to one side of the room, try to where he has a visual of basically a majority of the people in there. And he's going to try to see if he can find anybody of familiarity to him, maybe a member of the Weavers that might have ended up in the same place that he has, just out of curiosity.
Oh, okay. As far as what you recognize here, you see the only people that you recognize in this area are the three walkabouts, Flish Flash, Alethea, and Tessa.
Okay. Is there any way I can make a roll just to see if I can spot anybody?
I mean, it's not too hard. There's only about 12 or 13 people in the room.
Okay.
So you can easily see everybody. No members of the Weavers.
Okay. Well, in Neo's mind, he's just like.
Oh, there's one other person you would recognize. Carl Stitches is in here too.
Animate the legend himself. Okay. Well, then Neofly is probably just going to go off and stay in that one side, and he's going to pull out his guitar, and he's just going to start playing some stuff.
Okay.
With the intention, I mean, just to pass the time until things start whenever things are going to start.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and give me a presence and expression, then. Your 6-string specialty will apply. I assume that's what you're playing.
Yes. Only instrument I have in here. One success.
Okay. So you're trying to keep in theme with the attitude of the room, so you don't go too all out, but you start a brief melody that just seems to float with everything else that's happening in here, and
Phage is going to.
You catch the eye of Sunset, who kind of raises her glass to you a little bit before taking a sip. In a sort of You admit last time you'd spoken to her, you'd mentioned performing, and she's definitely listening.
Okay. Before Neofly would have left Phage's side, he would have just told her, "If you get a chance, bring me a glass of the hard stuff, please. Thank you." And then he would have just
already on her way. She gets 2 glasses of something strong and alcoholic and a heaping plate of food for herself, and brings them both over to where Neo is playing. Sets one down next to him and proceeds to basically idle while eating and drinking next to him, and just sort of being a giant that attracts the attention, and then letting it drift down to Neo.
Okay.
And while that's happening, I guess Neofly would whisper to Phage, "Don't be afraid to let loose. Probably got a dance move or two in you."
Oh, I've got more of a song than a dance, but I think at the moment it's your show right now. I'm just going to be getting their attention for you. And it's basically what she's doing. Is she is being the thing that stands out the most in the room, which kind of draws the eyes and down to her, and then to Neo, who's actually playing music.
Okay. Eventually, the man with the marijuana comes over and introduces himself as Leaf Finger.
I heard of you.
Yeah. Then you've been paying attention. Good for you. So, what's your pleasure? What's your price? And it's not a blatant question. It sounds more like a ceremonial greeting.
You'll have to forgive us for being new in town. We've only been here a few days, maybe a week.
Well, we're glad to have you regardless. So, what drives you, and what's it worth to you to get it?
My drive is... Oh, okay. No, you go ahead first, Phage.
I'm here to enjoy myself, and I don't think there's anything that can get in my way.
That's good. I like a girl that can stand up for herself.
I stand up for more than just myself. Anyone who's with me is also under my protection.
Even better. Sound like you're a good person to know. Are you attached? You got a group? Got a gang?
I got a motley.
Smart move. Bond yourself. All right. Well, and you, minstrel.
I would have to say mine is the people I keep close in the music that I am able to produce with these fingers.
Good. And if somebody tried to buy that off you, what would they have to offer?
Something better. Better instrument, probably.
No, I mean the music.
Oh. Well, good job and a lot of publicity.
I think you misunderstand my question, son. If I was to say that I could get you anything you wanted, and all you'd have to give up would be your ability to make music.
I wouldn't be able to answer that question. Music is the only thing that's kept me. Well, me. Since as long as I can remember.
That's good. You know where your heart is. That'll stand you in good stead days to come. Well, welcome to the Vernal Court.
Well, the two of us showed up the summer court at their own game just for fun. I think you'll get to know us eventually.
How I would have loved to have seen that.
It was an interesting
Seriously.
Yeah, I won the cannonball run.
Oh, God. Okay, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. Summer's got their own place, and they're very good at what they do, but damn. Phage, I'm going to be keeping an eye out for you.
Good food, good drink, good fun. That's what you need to get me.
All right. And smokes at all? Anybody?
One for me, please.
Not for me, one for him.
There's more where this comes from. If you need supplies, you can come to me. If you need work, you can come to me too, though. So I've got options. There's always a market if you know where to find it.
Well, thank you kindly.
Definitely. First one's on the house. After that, well, we'll talk.
Neofly puts it in his mouth and pulls a lighter out of his pocket and lights it.
And Leaffinger just sort of sits down and continues striking up conversation with you guys. Starts to ask a little bit about your background in the city, what you can remember from before you were taken.
It's funny you ask that. I don't remember a lot, but I don't think I want to, honestly. There wasn't a lot before that I know of.
Fair, I suppose.
There isn't much I can tell you either, but I can tell you that I was in the same place that I probably were now if I were still human. I was a struggling musician just trying to get by and trying to find the quickest way to do it. Luckily, I had my cousin with me, but I haven't seen her in God knows how long.
Family's hard. Family's hard to reconnect with, especially once you come back on this side.
Agreed.
You're not the same person you were. You might feel like it, but you're not. You've got more at your disposal now. There's options for a struggling musician of our type than a struggling musician of their type.
Very true.
But what do you think of the city? And by the city, I mean the people here.
It's something I could get used to.
Yeah, well, you found your slot in the whole society mishmash, so that's good. Poor saps on the other side of that door, though. Just lingering around, courtless. Don't really know where they belong. Not putting down roots. It's not good. It's not healthy. It's not safe. So, we try and steer people in the right direction. Sometimes that's our camp. Sometimes that's a different camp. But you want something more than the memory of an old life that's already long gone to keep you solid in this town.
I'll be honest, I think that life was gone before I even got taken.
Ah, yeah? Well, cheers to your new one then, and he holds out a cup.
Damn sight better than the last one. I
Clink.
clink my glass with it.
And take a drink. And as you take yours, you can feel whatever you were drinking before has altered slightly. It's not stronger per se, but there's a strange undercurrent of almost energy to the drink. Something shifted a little bit. He says, "Well, when you guys get a chance, the book is up front. You'll want to put your names in it, and everything will be fairly copacetic from there on out. A few more minutes in here, and we'll probably be joining the rest of the gang. There's business you have to attend to at these functions, but we get the party out of the way first so that we can have all the energy we need for the business after." And he'll wander off.
Phage will finish her food and drink and then just kind of look down at Neo. Well, ready to go?
Let's do it.
Go stand up and head over to the boat.
Okay. It's a large book that's just sitting open on a little podium sort of thing there. It's heavily bound leather volume, tattered kind of around the edges, a little foxed in the pages, and it's open to the very first page. There's a list of names there, probably about 6 or 7. And then, Phage, you can actually see your name sort of lightly traced in there already.
Just waiting for me to fill it in, yeah?
Basically just waiting for you to fill it in, yep.
Which I do.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a very simple ballpoint pen, nothing fancy. Write your name down in there.
Yep.
And then, Neofly, as you step up, there's just empty spaces for names.
I'll write my name down.
Okay. Give me a resolve and composure -3.
Okay. Oh, I know what this is about. Okay. One success.
Okay. As you write your name down in the book, there's a kind of a pull to you all of a sudden. One of your glamour bleeds off and is apparently absorbed by the book. Kind of it feels almost like a sealing of a contract in its own way.
Okay.
But your name is there, and you know for a fact that you are Springcourt now.
I look over to Phage and I feel like, and I say, I don't think this is the court I'm supposed to be in, but I feel like this is where my heart is. I don't know why, but...
Well, where you're supposed to be is where you want to be. So, you're here now.
Agreed. And Neofly will walk back to the table with the drinks and the food, because he's going to get himself some grub.
Okay.
Faye will grab a second plate on her way back to where they were sitting.
As you guys begin to spend some time amongst the people of your various courts, there's a level of connection, of camaraderie there that you're feeling to a level that you haven't managed anywhere else particularly. It's not necessarily the deepest or the strongest bond, but it's a very unique one, where your baseline motivation is fairly well in sync with everyone around you. As Gale and Nero spend some time in the summer room, there's a little bit of going around the room, people introducing themselves, a couple people coming up to you and mentioning that they saw you at the fort and that sort of thing. That War Dancer apparently is, you're known at least to her, if not to Sledge, who's sort of the commander, the highest ranking of all of them. Mm-hmm. And they come up and one of them takes out a Sharpie, says, "All right, forearms, let's see them."
Hold out my forearm.
And he writes Mud Grunt on your forearm.
Already right.
You next, Gale.
Aaron?
You're muted,
you are
I think.
muted.
Yeah.
You know, I probably should have noticed that you guys haven't talked in like a minute, but I was like, oh, that's weird.
So
Sorry.
No,
I
you're
am
fine.
awful today.
You're in the summer room, and one of the summer court members has come up to you and Nero with a Sharpie, wrote Mud Grunt on Nero's forearm, and then steps over to you and says, "All right, you're next."
Do Did I by any chance catch what is generally going on with that, or no?
You guys are actually the only two new recruits, so you kind of assume this is I don't know.
I mean, I'm gonna ask as he walks over. What's this about?
That's your rank.
Upper arm.
Okay, he'll write the same text on yours. He's got fairly nice handwriting. It's a little scripty. I mean, it's obviously Sharpie, but
I can deal with it.
Nope. And once you work your way up the ranks, that changes.
Do you write it on our forearms every time?
No.
Okay.
Sometimes you get it branded on your shoulder, sometimes tattooed across your back. It's up to you.
Right.
Today it's sharp because we don't have a tattoo facility inside this meeting hall.
Nah, that wouldn't be a problem.
Also it's easier.
And actually, no. If anyone has it, summer or spring does.
Yeah.
Somebody's over there doing pinprick prison tattoos.
I now have a goal.
Welcome to Pledge Week.
Yep. But after about 30 minutes or so, almost in unison, the 3 doors open and everybody comes back out into the main room.
Did I know whoever was talking at the beginning had said that they were going to come around and talk to people? Did that ever happen?
It has a little bit. Yeah, you would have had time to talk to War Dancer and or Sledge.
Right,
they would have come around, sort of introduced themselves in a very sort of terse kind of, you're part of our group now. I'm in charge. Yeah. Hi.
Because I would have, there was something that I wanted to pass along at the very least.
Okay. Yeah.
Just, while not all of my memories are intact, before I was taken, I was a member of the police force here in the city.
Oh, yeah.
So if you guys are looking for contacts in that region, I might be able to help.
Well, I mean, trying to jump back in with both feet will take some finesse, but if you're just going to establish yourself as someone else and rebuild some contacts, might be wiser, but whatever you decide to do.
That's what I mean, rebuilding contacts, not...
Okay. No, that would be very helpful.
All right.
Weird shit goes down. The cops tend to hear about it.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we did.
Yeah, I guess I probably don't have to tell you.
That would have been the big thing that I wanted to tell them, just to make sure that was known.
Okay. Consider it known. And as you guys begin to file back out, people begin to take seats around the tables, and Tag and John Coffin step up to the front of the banquet hall. And Gilly comes out last. And there's kind of a brief ripple across the crowd as all eyes shift towards the front. And Tag reaches out a hand, gestures for everybody to stand up. And as the entire company rises to their feet, Gilly steps up, sits down in that large chair that's been sitting there, very lavishly upholstered, and kind of gingerly rests down into it. And then Will walks out, holding his hands about this far apart, reaches into the air as if taking something, then just lowers his hands onto either side of Gilly's head. And as he does so, there's a crackle and a rustle as a crown of wood and bright crimson and orange and yellow leaves just wreathes out of nowhere and slowly comes to rest about 1.5 inches above Gilly's head. All hail Her Highness, Queen Gilly of the Autumn Court, our ruler for the coming season and henceforth. And then there's applause. And there's a little bit of murmur as the other courts begin to whisper back and forth about how they either totally knew this was going to happen all along, or, oh God, the entire place is going to go to shit now, and everything possible in between. Gilly stands up, raises a hand. There is the matter of the commons. And at that moment, almost the entire spring court suddenly, it's like a herd of deer. The heads turn and the ears go up. That sentence definitely grabbed all of their attention.
Oh.
We will need to establish a location and oversight. A place where people can assemble, be welcomed, socialize, and share information, where people can rest without worrying for their safety, at least for a few hours. Somewhere well protected, somewhere well hidden, at least from the Keeper's eyes. Possibly from the mortals, possibly not. I open the court to this business. Make your cases. And she waits for ideas from people.
Do I just sort of, I've been, since the comment about working with police, I've been sort of trying to think back and remember anything that I can. At this point, do I remember any places that were relatively safe in the city that we got occasional weird reports of?
Give me a intelligence and resolve -2.
Like, I'm thinking like things that where unexplainable shit apparently happens in an otherwise perfectly safe place that I would now associate with maybe hedge activity. So intelligence and what? Resolve?
Intelligence and resolve -2.
So 1 dice, not a chance roll though.
I'm gonna speak up. I have an idea.
Okay.
God.
Liz?
There's a cemetery. Yeah. There's a cemetery.
Yeah. Nothing's coming to mind, Nero. There's a cemetery, you say? Okay.
There's a cemetery. I'm trying to remember the name of the cemetery that we were at too last time. Where is it? Nope, that was Greenwall. That's not it. Where
the
is
one
it?
that you were just at, or the
Yes.
first one that you went to? The one that you were just at was Mount Olivet Cemetery.
There's a cemetery. Mount Olivet Cemetery? We went there and there's nothing there. So we won't bother anyone and there's nothing that will bother us.
There's a little bit of murmur around the room.
Slowly
And then somebody leans over to you. Nobody you recognize. I don't much feel like trying to have get-togethers outside during winter coming.
There's trees everywhere.
I lean over to Liz. Also,
Little
Liz,
houses.
if we all start gathering there, then there's lots of people there, and that attracts attention when lots of random people are gathering in a graveyard.
I sit down.
Nice. Good idea. Good idea. Just not the right idea.
Gilly gives you a very slightly pitying smile, Liz. Like, good try. Good try. No. Good try.
Phage kind of steps up. Let's be frank, if this is an endeavor we're going to go into, it's going to take everybody's help. So I'll point out that there's a good deal of money that I can see just standing in this room. If we need to, we can potentially acquire a building that's not being used right now, make it something of a, I almost want to say a country club, a private club where only those of us are actually considered to be members. a place that is sort of excused for letting only their specific clientele in, but is not necessarily something that anyone needs to look into.
You notice Ledger just sort of sitting across the way, kind of catches your eye, Phage, and just sort of goes,
a community, a
this is
private.
happening. Sorry.
Sorry, no, I was just adding on a private community center. Is what you're saying, Phage?
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
This is happening. Can Gail sort of observe, read the room, see what people might be considering, what options are appealing to people as they are talking about?
yeah, give me a wits and empathy.
Scattering, obviously. But
yeah, definitely.
I don't know. What role would that be?
Wits and empathy.
So, and if I can, I'm going to spend a willpower on this because this is
sure. Yep.
And I'm going to add on to Phage's idea. Just wait till the roll finishes first.
3
successes. All right. Go ahead and add on.
I was going to add on. That's actually, in addition to being a good idea, it also helps tie us into the community at large. Gives us an establishing point where we can make connections with people that we might need to keep our ears open for any activity we should be aware of.
Somebody steps up. So you're suggesting something where we do let the mundanes in?
Not necessarily, but
maybe not. But
we have to know our neighbors.
I mean, there's certain interactions with mundanes that any business would have to have, which would help us keep an ear to the ground of the mundane society as a general whole, even if nobody's actually a member.
Somebody else steps up. I, for one, definitely support letting the mundanes in. I mean, glamour's where you find it, and if you can harvest at the commons, good for us.
Fair enough. Then in that case, a community center with perhaps some sort of second floor or basement area for our particular needs.
Oh, private functions and that sort of thing.
There you go.
And that's certainly a matter for further discussion. I think right now is mostly a matter of deciding where and what location.
Ledger will step forward. If we're considering having investment levied by individuals of the freehold, we will need to be organized to an extent, and those who make the investment, I feel, will need to understand from the beginning and have it written into the agreements that they hold no special privileges for their initial investment. This is a contribution, not a loan.
I think that sounds fair. But that's also my opinion, so.
I'll second that.
Do I get anything from those 3 successes, or?
Oh, yeah. At this point, as Gail's been watching these back and forth, because you need a little back and forth before you're going to be able to read a room. There's some unease, but definitely a division of opinion on, is this a place where we're going to let mundanes in? The argument of, well, we could get glamour at the commons is a strong one, but there's still that uncertainty and fear of, do we want normals wandering around with their normalness?
Exposure is dangerous.
Right, exposure is dangerous, kind of. Staying undercover would be a good idea.
Muggles have cooties.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean,
but these are the kind of cooties that sometimes end up with people being dead.
Yeah, they have insane asylums and church hunting squads and police.
I would make the note to the room that if it is deemed too dangerous to allow mundanes directly into our establishment, it could be positioned in a place where finding mundanes for glamour harvesting is easy, say along the district where all the bars are kept.
Along that lines, if that is the concern we wish to go to, and I do not mean to express too much of vulgarity, but don't shit where you eat.
That gets a giggle. That's fair. Very wise.
Either we integrate to the acceptable degree, or we keep separate. A medium just blurs the lines and gives leeway for things to cross the line.
Somebody sort of calls from the back. Well, you'd know all about crossing the line, wouldn't you?
He smiles.
You have no idea who said that.
She doesn't care. She cares very much, but she doesn't seek it out.
Can I pick out who said that?
Yeah,
I would look.
Yeah, I'd like to as well.
Give me a wits and investigation -3.
While they're looking, I just sort of call out to the room.
Did I catch?
You know this isn't.
Sorry, what was that, Gail?
It might have come from, given that I was already trying to watch the room and gauge people's opinions. Like, it seemed like it came from a throng of spring people or something.
Too short. Can't see a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does my keen observation apply for this role?
What's your keen observation, a specialty of?
Investigation.
Yes, it would.
3 successes.
2 successes.
3 successes.
You guys all definitely see, with the exception of Liz, who is a little distracted and doesn't notice. You guys all see Adele sort of give a response to something that nobody else hears.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, none of you heard that.
Okay.
You just see Adele kind of make a gesture of, and say her tiny little piece at the very end in response to apparently nothing.
Got it. I chalk that under Adelisms. Adele's getting heckled by ghosts.
No. Yeah.
But the conversation continues. People toss out the idea of community centers, homeless shelters, charitable organizations, entertainment venues. All these sort of ideas are starting to get thrown around. Gilly is very much pleased, it seems, that the room has sort of just taken this in their teeth and run with it. That she's not having to drive people or kick asses to get people moving or to get some motivation into the group.
I give Gilly a very toothy grin.
So
she very obviously pretends not to see you. Gail?
Gail will just sort of continue that observation, watching.
Okay. Yeah, no, with 3 successes, you're fairly well tuned in to the mood of the room. There's a lot of interest here, and this is apparently something that a lot of people have either been thinking about or once it was brought up feel like they have a decent dog in this fight. And people are now just trying to figure out how exactly they'll get it planned out.
Yeah. So Liz is tracing patterns on the table and just observe a homeless shelter or something would be good because then people won't mind if we're taking up space there because we're helping. If there's memberships and stuff like that stuff's easy to fake. Cards are easy to fake. If someone wants to get in really badly.
Homeless
This
shelter
isn't,
would
though.
require registry with the government to an extent that other places might not.
Yeah, the other thing is, the freehold is a place, however, for people like us. I think, while a membership identification would be easy to fake, this, I say, pointing to myself, not so much.
This gives the excuse to say, I can tell this is fake.
That's actually quite fair. I don't think anybody can forge this. I say, pointing to my just
Like-
barely fire under the skin face.
Not even them?
Not even this.
I'm gonna
And
leave
there-
that in
and
the
a
air.
deathly quiet hits the entire room. Gilly leans forward. That brings me to the second aspect of this issue. A group would have to be given responsibility to ensure the maintenance and proper conduct and protection of the freehold commons. I know that, and she kind of holds up a hand as War Dancer is already like halfway out of her seat, that the Summer Court has very strong talents in this area and therefore would likely have a good representation to be considered. Those of autumn and winter naturally would need some level of involvement as well, if possible. At least one, if not both courts. If it is to be a social or assembly type place where the needs of mundanes are, or at least their desires are tended to, well, my friends in Spring, of course, have their own unique talents and functions in that capacity. Is there any who would be willing to volunteer to have themselves considered for custodianship as a motley?
I sort of look at the rest of the crew, like in their various
Is
places.
Phage by any chance sitting near me?
I think Phage is standing like almost dead center in the room because she kind of helped start we need to like consider places that are right in the middle of the city.
Okay. Any chance either Lark or Adele or Lark or Nero is nearby?
I'm probably like halfway between the furthest most ring of people and Phage, so probably nearby.
Lark is in the back, leaning up against a wall.
Yeah, Adele's probably right near Lark.
Neofly's probably around Phage.
So Phage speaks up. Well, we're new to the city, and you're welcome to say no, but there's at least 6 of us amongst the unlikely who would be willing to, and I'll be honest, there's strength in numbers. I think at the very least I'd have to confer with the rest of my motley, but I'm fairly certain we could take on such a task.
Yes.
Says Adele from the back.
That answers my question. Never mind.
Agreed.
Lark just shouts 7.
7.
Yeah. Adele wasn't going to make that correction, but
That's it's a very strong recommendation on your behalf. Are there any others? You notice there's just the faintest scowl across Flish Flash's face. Apparently the walkabouts were about to volunteer, only to have their toes stepped on once again by 7 fighters.
Hell yeah!
that makes Adele so happy.
I just sort of look over to Flish Flash and just shrug.
She sort of is just kind of like gives an
Gil
answer.
will move up towards Nero in sort of a show of support.
Well, excellent then. We will consider your application to be on the books, as it were. And we'll attend to this business further in a moment. And that's where we're going to take a break for a bit.
All right. And we're back.
So the discussion continues for a little bit of time, and then Gilly, as queen of the freehold, calls a break in the convocation for food, beverage, refreshment, and rest, and allowing some much-needed socialization. So you guys are all in a room with a number of other changelings, many of whom are now members of your respective courts. And you've got a little bit of time to burn before things kick off again, apparently. There's plenty of food, plenty of drink, plenty of other things if you want those too.
Neofly eyes Phage, then eyes the food table, then eyes Phage again, then starts walking to the food table.
Phage is like right there already.
Adele's gonna move towards the largest congregation of us.
Okay.
Which I think right now is going to be the food table.
Possibly.
We congregate
if
around
Phage
the
has
food
any
table.
hand, if Phage has any hand in it, then yes.
Who's
Cool.
whistling?
Especially if we're talking the largest concentration volumetrically.
Sounds good.
I look for whoever's whistling because you're whistling.
Eventually, everything comes to a halt as everyone's looking for the whistling.
I haven't moved to the food table.
What do I need to roll to find out who's whistling, Jack?
Wits and composure. -2.
Yeah.
Because I know someone's
Everybody's
whistling.
rolling wits and composure -2 if you're trying to figure out who's whistling, except for Gale.
Nope. Gale knows who's whistling. Gale is also muted.
Not so much.
Gale is also muted.
4 successes.
1 success.
Do I need to roll with a -2, or do I just know?
You have to. You still have to roll, but you do not have the -2.
Okay.
Ooh, look at that roll. Sheesh.
It's right behind you.
It's actually very close to where in between Liz and Gale currently. And Gale, it kind of jars you a little bit and definitely comes to your attention very, very quickly because it's not the same, but it's very similar to the song that you heard in your dream. The tune, anyway. But there is an individual who's seated with his hooved feet propped up on a chair. He's got a nice big rack of ram's horns curling over from his temples and down around. They make an almost full circle. He's got a very sort of goat-like aspect to him. And he's dressed in jeans and flannels. And is just working his way through a fairly significant salad, or at least the remnants of one, and is now just kind of whistling quietly to himself and drinking something out of a mug.
You mentioned that he's somewhere sort of around where I and Liz and I are.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He's seated at one of the tables.
Okay. Gail's first move is essentially, as casually as she can, placing herself between this person and Liz.
Okay.
I'm sitting down. I haven't gotten up to get food.
Okay.
So
Then from that position, just trying to be in the way, I guess. So there are people around. She'll socialize quite politely.
All right.
I noticed the whistling because I got 4 successes, presumably.
Oh, yeah.
And I had noticed before last session that, I don't know, something's up with Gale and I didn't quite know. Is this helping clue me in at all? Her reaction.
Give me a wits and empathy -1.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I'm moving to everybody who is at the It's so distracting.
One success.
She's agitated. You don't
Mhm.
know if it's because
don't
she
know
knows
why.
this person or what, but something about either this person or what they're doing or what they're wearing or what they're eating, something about this individual is causing Gale some stress.
I move over to the people who are at the food table and say, hey, grab some food, let's go sit down and talk about the thing we all just signed up for. And
Yeah,
and
we should probably do that.
sort of pull everybody towards the table that Liz is sitting at. Because Liz
I've gotten
looks
up
like
by this point.
heading that way and then seeing Liz get up.
Yeah.
Like, still heading towards that table because it was sort of a landmark location from which I can wrangle everybody else. And then I'm just going to start working on getting everybody back to that table.
Okay.
Lark is going to walk over, and when she sees Liz walk away, she's going to kind of like put her arm around her shoulder and guide her back.
No.
Ah,
No.
Lark is the list herd.
I'm going.
All right.
Where are you going?
Both of you are making dexterity and athletics then.
ah.
Is everything all right?
No.
Locke is designated list herder.
Did we take a vote on that? I'm confused.
I think it just kind of
I mean,
happened.
I think
actually
just Lark.
willpower
Lark
on
is
that.
always just right place, right time.
Yeah.
I think we actually did take a vote on that in
Nope,
the
no
non-smoker
willpower.
car after Liz
we
tried to break
did.
into the hospital.
And
Never mind.
Gail's vote was Lark, and no
Two
one else
successes.
voted.
Oh,
Success.
dang.
Liz is nimble as
Lark-
fuck.
Lark, you only rolled dexterity.
Oh, crap. Hold on.
Oh,
Dexterity
yep,
and
try that
athletics.
Dang it.
I don't think it's going to make a huge difference, but
It might.
Tens explode.
we'll see.
Yeah.
3 successes.
Better.
Liz is
It's
nimble
still
as hell. Yep. You almost get a hold of her, but she just kind of squirms away and heads wherever
Well,
she was headed.
Liz,
Well, she was gonna. Lark was gonna try to speak with her before she.
Okay, you can follow.
Where are you going? She says. Follow.
Adele's drifting too.
To Gale. And I keep going. I'm headed to
Okay, that's
stand
like
next
3
to
steps.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, Lark's just gonna follow her.
Yep.
Gail will sort of end whatever conversation she may have been having and
Mhm.
find herself to.
I grab your hand. What's wrong?
Give her a little pat. Oh, nothing. Just
No.
it's
Something's
called
wrong.
socializing. It's like you introduce yourself to people.
No. And I look toward the
with
whistling.
what-
That.
I'll sort of look towards Lark and then sort of try and lock eyes with Nero.
I'm gathering people at a table. I look over and just.
Let's go talk with the others.
With what Liz said about something wrong, can I get an empathy roll of some kind?
Wits and empathy if you're wanting to read a circumstance from people.
Yup.
I'm sort of trying to herd the 3 of us back to the rest of the group.
3
And I'll follow.
successes.
If
Stay
Liz
with
is
you.
going, then I'll go.
Yeah, so Adele, you see Gale sort of ushering Lark and Liz back towards the table where Nero is.
Yeah, no,
She
I
seems
followed
fairly-
behind.
yeah.
I followed behind Lark.
She seems fairly determined that that is definitely where she wants to be right now. There's a slight frisson of agitation to her, but that could just be, oh dear God, I'm having to babysit people again, or any number of things.
I will say, Adele probably notices, given particularly has been watching Gale, that as Gale sort of reunites the group, she'll briefly sort of whisper to Nero, because Team Summer, protect the people.
Yep.
Beyond you're gone. something's a little off.
I appreciate that, and I always am. I'll just mutter back. And then get everyone sat down. Okay, so if we are following through with our apparent pledge to facilitate a communal area, and I'm sort of looking at everyone as I say that, just seeing what everyone's reactions to that is.
Well, be careful
Is that
with
what
your
that
wording. It's
was?
not a pledge yet.
If I said if was at the beginning of it.
There isn't much you're getting from Neofly because he's kind of, he's kind of blasted right now.
Just fucking eating food.
Yeah, a little heavily stoned.
We on cloud 13 right now.
Okay, so I guess we're all in agreement that that's the thing we want to do.
Of course.
Sounds good. I just want to make sure, because... All right. So what are your thoughts on doing such a thing? I say to the group and sit down.
Bart just shrugs.
How do you mean?
Well,
There are a lot of ways that can be taken.
And correct me if I'm out of character, Jack. The implication was that we'd be acting as custodians, effectively, of the location.
Yes, you'd basically be the staff.
Yeah,
If it's a place that staff.
yeah. So I'll say, okay. For instance, if this is going to be we're going to be behaving as groundskeepers, custodians, staff, whatever, for this location. Do any of you guys have experience doing that kind of thing?
Of course I do. I am well versed in any number of C3PO rant here.
Thank you, Gail. Yes. The rest of you, though.
Almost offended you asked.
The question was more for everyone else, Gail, than for you.
Well, I know how to work people. I know how to work security. So if you need me to basically manage things, I can probably do that, personnel-wise.
All right, so we've got a groundskeeper.
I have finances,
We have
experience,
an accountant. All right.
and other things. It must be pointed out that, well, on a vague sense, we can probably discuss this. It's all going to be moot until we speak with the Queen and others involved and determine exactly what form this will take.
It's true, but I'd like to have a sense of what our response will be if the response is an affirmative, so that we're not standing around in front of the new Queen going, I don't know.
Well, then, let us pose the question in this less direct way. Given the various forms that have been discussed previously that this could take, from an entertainment venue to a shelter, might I then ask, in some of those broader instances, what would we need that we don't currently have, or what might we need to shore up our ability to accomplish?
That's a good question. In order to ascertain the answer to that, though, we need to know what we have first.
I quite disagree. Respect.
Then please explain how we shore up our abilities if we don't know what the extent of our abilities are.
Well, first you see what you need, and then you see if you got that. And if you don't got that, then you need to know what you need to shore up. It's catalog need before have.
Page.
I agree.
I mean, I feel like it works the same no matter which way you go first, but sure, okay.
If you catalog have before you need, you have a lot of excess.
You end up cataloging both. It just does, regardless.
Is that
I think
still there in the background?
I'm sorry?
They said, is that whistling still there in the background?
They're not whistling anymore, but they're still there, yes.
I think perhaps
no whistling. It's fine.
Basically, you make to summarize. You go, we have this need. Can we fill that need? Yes, no. Versus, what do we all have in general, and then do we have any needs?
I think perhaps it's more important to know when we do have our détente with Gilly. How we will be approaching it. One person talking for all of us. Everybody contributing. So that way we don't have the concern that Nero pointed out of, okay, well, what's the plan? And then we all are just waiting for one person to start.
I mean, you may have noticed, but I can talk until the day runs long. So it's up to the rest of you what you want to do.
We have a number of people that can talk. I don't mind. I don't care who does.
The technicalities of the subject matter, but of course I am willing to let Paige take the lead as she's...
I'll keep the building running.
We can... Paige, you started it. Feel free to finish it.
All right. I'll helm this one then.
All right. That being said, so what are... the options that we had put forward previously that were sort of suggested were what? A community center, a private club, shelter of some kind.
Yes. So for all of these things, there's a few things we're going to need. First off, we're going to need maintenance. Liz, you're very good at that. You can make everything run all the time. I'm quite confident that you can handle anything that we need that's mechanical, that needs to be fixed, that needs to be run. Am I right in that?
Hopefully. I need glamour, but yeah.
We can work on that one for you.
Yes.
And next thing we're going to need is someone who's got person skills, someone who can organize people and get them going into where they need. Myself and Gail are both very good at this. Adele, I think you're pretty good at this as well.
Depending on the people, yes.
You're at least established in the community to some extent already.
Adele is suddenly dreaming of an establishment staffed entirely by the dead.
Yes. Depending on the people. Are they living? Are they not living?
What you're saying is that Adele is in agreement with Liz's original suggestion for venue.
No.
Yes!
Absolutely 100%
Yes!
not. That was a terrible idea.
Because if it was a graveyard, you have to be there while the sun is out.
There are often various aspects to managerial positions that could take both of you, in fact.
But and then beyond that point, we're going to need security for anything that goes wrong, any fights that break out, anything that goes crazy. Again, myself, you, Nero, and Gail, I think can handle most of that.
I have no small amount of experience in security details, so.
Well, I think I'm pretty good with guns. So if you need somebody with guns, that's me.
We don't need anyone with guns.
And actually, there's the other thing. We need someone who can help get the word out. Who can help. For one, help welcome new changelings into the community, and who can help keep things calm and atmospheric. And I think, Neofly, you're the best there is at that.
Thank you.
Right now, I don't think Neofly is the best at anything, Phage.
I can still play a good tune. Don't take that away from me, goddammit.
I note he didn't argue for anything else, though.
No high lasts forever.
I said right now.
Gail will sort of look like she's going to say something and then hold it in.
And the same is likely true of you as well, Lark. I think both you and Neo could very strongly head up the front of welcoming new changelings and making sure that the establishment is friendly.
Dark nods.
It is important also should, and this is a decision that is not entirely in our hands, may not be in our hands at all, but there should be someone who can deal very specifically with mortals.
Which I think is likely myself and Lark.
Yes, that was what I was.
Yeah.
Deal with what? I didn't hear that.
Mundanes.
Okay.
Mortals.
And then we'll probably also need somebody who has a head for books, no matter what kind of a place we're going, because we're going to have to keep a track of everything that we are using, especially in the result of people donating.
Which is Adele. And probably Liz, honestly. I'll be 100% honest.
Essentially. Also, because of the unique nature of our situation, we're also going to need people who can liaison with the various aspects of our...
The courts.
I'm trying to think what... Freehold was the word I was trying to find out.
The courts.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think the only court we're missing is somebody from the Winter Court.
I think we're missing the whole Winter Court in itself.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I just want to think back.
There was not an entrance. No, because they probably didn't show up because the Winter Court generally does not.
Yeah, was there a Winter Court entrance?
No.
There was not a Winter Court entrance, no.
Do we... Adele, is there a Winter Court?
I'm certain there is. They probably did not have their... They probably did not attend. Remember, they prefer to stay hidden.
Right.
As far as
I'll ask them.
I had already when I spoke with Gilly, said anything she needs, I would be more than happy to help. After the whole election.
So these are the things that we'll need for any of these establishments. Once we pick out a specific one, we'll figure out what we need for that one in specific.
Right.
I think we've got most of it covered. We might need someone as a liaison from Winter to help out, but I think Gilly will be on that with us in regards to it.
Do we have any other suggestions other than the building types that have been put forward as a communal place? I was actually thinking a place that people come and go without attracting too terribly much attention. This might be a bit more of a stretch than a community center, but some form of apartment complex or apartment block.
Literally want to make it the Woodlands. But
genuinely, it provides a reason for why so many different types of people from different walks of life will be going into it. It allows us to put up, to have a place that we can put up new entrants to the city that will arouse suspicion and can acclimate them more to their new life easier. It's also easily defended in case of incursion, and more than enough room for any secret hideaways we might want to put in.
there's the other thing. This place, we're changelings. That means that this place is going to have some relation to the hedge, whether we want it to or not.
Of course.
Yes.
This is something that I'm very good with the hedge. I think a couple of you are likely very good with it as well. But that's something that we'll need to shore up. That will probably take the majority of my attention if I'm not dealing with mundanes, is keeping an eye on the hedge.
Yeah. I imagine wherever we set up whatever sort of building it is, if we set up a security room, we'd want to put it in a location that has the weakest walls in that particular regard.
In terms of other potential options for location, I was quite genuinely thinking of some variety of artistic establishment, gallery, a private museum or library of sorts, as
I have a library
such a
card.
thing could account for the oddities of
I reach over and pat Liz on the head.
and
It's the same as apartment.
Need
You
additional.
need a card and people come and go. And you don't ask too many questions about people who come and go.
It's true.
I think our best bet is to stay away
Also,
from.
Gilly wanted to spread information.
Yes, that's true. I think our best bet is to stay away from government facilities. Whatever it is, it should be private.
As I
Because
said,
government
all of
facilities.
these things would I think all of those have the aesthetic of a communal establishment, while still managing to often be private, which is why an artistic venue, again, back doors, exclusive but oddly selected groups of
Yes,
individuals.
I definitely think a place that has the feeling of exclusivity, like not everyone can get access, is definitely number one.
A gallery or a club.
Unity aesthetic that masks us from the outside world, even if we do not let it in.
I like the idea of a club.
A gallery or a club, which also, if we decide to allow mundanes within, also gives the benefit of providing a sort of
There's a delineation.
A
We
smoke
can create
screen,
wings. We can create wings where mundanes are allowed and where they're not.
and that's easily justified by having a VIP area. The only trick there is that it's going to require more people on guard duty to make sure.
I think the summer court would be willing to provide a couple of guards.
Yes, but do we want to rely that heavily on them?
As relying too heavily.
I think as much as we want to have that interconnectivity, if we want it to be a neutral ground, we probably don't want to have too many summer court on.
No, I think every court needs to play to their strengths in this place.
Yes, but not overly so.
Well, I feel like we have some accompaniment with our friends over at the Walkabout.
Yes, the Walkabouts look like they were about to step up and volunteer this themselves, so I think they'd be willing to help out a little bit.
Or perhaps they may not.
Or they'd like to see us fail.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
That. Either way, I feel like a lot of this perhaps we should be discussing with Gilly, because
it's a lot of this is stuff that we'll be discussing with Gilly, yes. But it's always good to have an idea of what what we want to discuss if we are given this chance.
Well, I've put we've got our points put together. I think now is as good a time as any to go talk to the Queen at Fall or Autumn.
Autumn, not Fall.
Can I make a politics roll for how appropriate that would be?
Yeah, I think that was a "will politics. Call you."
Yeah.
Politics.
It may not be appropriate to go up and speak with her right now, but I don't know.
And
we've got our points together.
Yeah.
Spend an hour on this.
Sure.
Also, she's already familiar with us. We literally brought her into the city. Or she
literally brought us into the city.
Would have said that in the proper order, but yeah. She literally brought us to the city.
She did.
With one success, Gale, you feel like discretion might be the better part in this case, especially considering a new ruler, brand new to their power, looking to establish and solidify their position. Probably best to let them act on their own initiative and wait upon their pleasure rather than the other way around.
As much as I am sympathetic to the more direct approach, I might counsel perhaps being cautious in this matter, or at least allowing decisions to be made by our new seasonal monarch. What is the appropriate terminology? We haven't really covered that one yet.
Queen was what was said.
Yeah.
Queen it is.
Yeah, let the Queen make the decision.
We've got our points put together for whenever she asks for us.
Yes.
That's right.
So.
And I'm just going to sort of lean back, and I want to cast my eyes over towards that dude that was whistling and see what he's doing now, because I noticed that the whistling has stopped.
He's kind of sitting there playing with a butter knife, spinning it like it was a top.
Was he one of the people that didn't go to a door?
Give me a...
That's a good question. I was keeping an eye on the room, so...
Give me a wits and now, there'd be an intelligence and resolve, actually, for you.
That's a good question that I want answered myself, so... 3 successes.
1 success.
You definitely saw him up and moving around. You guys don't know which door he went in, although it wasn't any of yours. If he went in a door?
No, I'm trying.
Well,
Any bonus for the fact that I was specifically trying to keep track of that kind of thing?
I'll give you a +1.
Okay. 1, not 10. Jesus. Yeah, 3.
Adele, you definitely saw him in your room.
So he was in Autumn for sure.
Yep.
I'll sort of lean back, look over at him. Just
He's an Autumn person.
keep an eye out. I didn't make any announcement that I was looking at him. I was just glancing.
Yep.
Okay.
And then lean back into the table.
So, how did everybody's initiations go?
I hold up my forearm.
Awesome.
Grunt.
Mud Grunt. Seems like Summer Court knows what they're doing. they like to put their people to their paces.
I shrug. I've been hazed about 4 times as I can recall, so
Welcome to number 5.
yeah.
Indeed.
Summer. Well, sorry. Spring. Spring was a party. You can tell. Neoflies.
Yeah.
I just-
Neophyte's still feeling the effects.
I nod over towards
Oh, yeah.
Neofly. I know.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was Leaf Finger.
This is a smell I'm familiar with. Ah, that's our leaf finger guy. Okay.
You got some good shit.
Some dank shit, son.
Definitely.
Am I still feeling that energize?
No, that's faded by now.
Okay.
We're gonna need to light some incense around Neofly before we leave.
Smack him in the face with some...
Where we currently live,
Good to hear, Eddie.
as much as it galls me, I must say I don't think it's necessary.
No, not where we currently live, but on the drive back. I'd rather not get pulled over.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well,
Cool.
good to hear. I'm glad it went well for everyone.
I don't know the current legal status of marijuana in Baltimore.
Oh, it's illegal as hell.
Yeah, okay. I figured.
Yeah. No, there.
Yeah.
Maryland has not come around to the West Coast way of thinking yet.
All right.
Colorado started it. They don't count.
Colorado is in the middle. But yeah.
So, how was you guys? I say, looking at our 3 Autumn Court folks.
I burnt my tongue.
That'll happen.
Went well.
Patient?
You all right?
Yeah, it hurt.
I'm sorry.
Still hurts.
How'd you do it?
I'll sort of look to Lark and Adele.
I drank tea.
There was this tea.
Did you drink it fast?
No, I drank it in a gulp.
So fast? Why would you
That's
do
true.
that?
Tease a sipping drink, Liz.
It was extremely hot.
Have you never had tea before?
I'll teach you how
It was deceptive.
The handle was cold.
That.
Huh.
It's a good teapot.
Yes.
Real good.
Liz, if you feel like you didn't necessarily understand you were making a decision, by the way, you may want to talk to Gilly. I don't know if there's anything that can be done, but it doesn't hurt to ask.
I continue just looking at the tracing patterns on the table. I don't respond.
Okay.
Well, No, ours was mostly Summer Court is interested mostly in defense and solidifying our presence and making sure that everyone is safe.
Ours was simply tea and voting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, sounds like everybody.
Yeah, Adele, you get the impression that if there was any business being discussed, it happened prior to the tea and voting.
Yeah.
in all the little cercerations that were going around
Yes.
at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is anybody keeping an eye on our table? As the motley of seven.
I mean, are you catching any eyes? Yes, definitely.
Is anybody paying particular attention to us?
Yeah.
That mountain goat guy isn't
Yeah, I
looking your
wanted to
direction,
use-
but he's still
Wait,
playing
he's
with
a
that
bat-
butter knife, and you see him flicking it sort of your direction occasionally.
Adele's gonna
Yeah.
stand and
Yes,
start
Adele?
heading that way.
Lark's gonna go with her.
Gail will sort of tense and fall in at Adele's side.
Oh, the entire motley of seven stands up and starts going that way.
I wasn't going to, but if everyone else does, I will
No.
join.
No,
Y'all
Before-
intimidate him.
Yeah, before
well,
Neofly
if-
goes
if-
with the rest of the party.
If Liz doesn't go, I'm just going to stay back at the table then.
Yeah, I'm not going.
Yeah, Neofly would probably stay back then. He also wanted to, during the conversation that we were having, just scope around the room again to see if he caught anybody that was familiar. For him, see if he can find any members of the Weavers.
Phage is staying at the table as much as I joke, but
Okay.
she's keeping an eye.
Kitchen composure for Neofly.
And I am going to. I'm staying at the table, but I am going to watch and see what happens with the three that are going over to Mr. Goatman.
And does
I
my
wanna
keen
see
observation
some
apply on
candidates.
this
Just explode.
Yeah.
All right.
one? 2 successes.
Well, if you
Nobody that you
explode,
recognize from
then
the Weavers.
I will have to kill the Goatman. So please don't explode.
So,
I didn't say I'd choose to explode, just that I will.
So,
you approach.
Yeah. Approach,
This
smile, that usual friendly, creepy smile that I have.
He matches it. I mean, his teeth are like a railroad track. I mean, it's the goatiest of goat teeth that you've seen in a very long
Wonderful.
time.
Hello. I don't believe we've met. I thought I should come over and introduce.
Grange. Barnaby Grange.
Grange.
Handshake.
Yep.
So,
Wonderful.
posting for queen, I assume, in your case.
Hmm?
Well, you thought you could rule this place. Very interesting.
I did submit my name, yes.
Yeah. I will be honest, I didn't vote for you.
It's quite all right. You don't know me, I don't know you.
That is a very fair assumption.
I like that choice of words.
In the awkward
So-
silence, Lark is going to put out her hand and say, I'm Lark.
Pleasure. He'll shake your hand.
I simply
Gail
could-
won't shake. Instead, she'll do a short curtsy. Gail.
He will kick his feet off the table, stand up, give a very elegant courtly bow. Pleased to make your acquaintance, ma'am.
Fucking satyrs.
And then he'll lean up against the back of his chair. What brings you over to my table?
Well, forgive my forward attitudes, but I'd noticed you had taken an interest in ours, and I thought I would come over since don't know you, obviously, as we've established you didn't know, and just get acquainted. I must admit, I'm a little curious as to the attention.
Well, it's not every day that a group of 7 people forms their own motley and then becomes apparently something of a rising star in the neighborhood. You're on quite a hot streak, you guys are.
It's a good thing I'm not over there.
You can hear all of
I
this.
know because
Oh,
you're
can
going
I?
to make bad
Yes,
puns.
you can.
Oh, then
Oh, my
the
goodness.
table that I'm sitting at sees Nero just flinch at the words hot streak.
I didn't realize we developed such a reputation.
You flatter.
Well, for people who listen, things can be known. I
What sort of
do
thing?
apologize. I have you at a disadvantage. I have tangentially met you before. One of my motley tried to punch one of your motley about a week back.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
That was a lovely,
Pass my
he
thing.
had it
a
coming,
lovely
don't worry.
experience.
Yes,
I'm sure
well,
there's
I'm
I-
very glad that
I-
was managed so.
I love how supportive and defensive my motley is of me. That's really nice.
So even as Gail,
We will talk about that later.
As Gail is doing this, she is trying to open up her body language and be comfortable, but she's also somewhat pointedly placing herself in a defensive position, sort of in front of the other two, not obstructing their conversation, but you hit me first if you're fucking with people.
Okay.
Yeah, what's it called? Neofly is probably just paying attention to Nero and just snickering like hell.
Okay.
From everything that's going on in Nero's reaction and Nero's reactions.
The
Liz, Romeo, wits, and composure.
The flinch
Okay.
was a pained
And
flinch,
I am
not
looking
a
for
I'm
something
embarrassed flinch.
specifically, if you want me to.
No, I'm talking about the other thing.
Yeah,
that
go
happened.
ahead.
Yeah.
Liz is in the largest room full of other changeling that she's ever been in, and she's looking around trying to get a sense of who might be a privateer. That's what she's looking for. She's gonna glance over first at Barnaby, and then, or whatever his name, Barnaby. But then, if that doesn't ping anything, she's gonna go all the way around the room. And
Okay.
it was wits and what?
Wits and composure.
Okay.
Yeah. Nero's not
Can
saying.
I spend a willpower on this?
No, you may not.
Nero's not saying anything,
reflexive.
by the way. The I love how defensive my motley thing was me, not Nero, because Nero is locked down at this point. Because he's having PTSD flashbacks.
No, we know. We know.
I'm just explaining that for the audience's benefit. Nero is having PTSD flashbacks.
Liz, as you glance around, there is a cornucopia of conflicting auras in this room.
Yep.
And you try to follow the patterns as best you can. And the guy that they're talking to doesn't jump out specifically. You're not catching a strong inclination one way or the other on anybody in particular in this room.
Okay. So that's what Liz is not paying attention to this conversation. She's
No worries.
doing her own thing, as usual.
All right.
Well, that unfortunate situation aside,
Unfortunate for you, maybe. We got a hollow out of the whole thing.
I mean, that is a valid point, so it all worked out for the best.
Excellent.
I'm sure that we would love to get together and perhaps visit with your motley at some point.
Now, if you like, we go by Godforsaken. Because, well... But, sure. You have time for a sit-down some point? You want to swap stories, secrets, stuff?
Yes. Absolutely.
All of the above.
I'm sure it can only be to all of our benefit.
I'm sure.
How many of changelings, are in your motley?
There's the four of us. 7 for you, though. That's an interesting number.
I've heard.
It is.
It's a lucky number.
That depends on
I'm not there.
things.
Paige is not there.
Yeah.
Paige is watching.
I'm the voice of one of the ghosts that you're responding to.
Hush you. Well, wonderful. I look forward to doing. I'm sure we all look forward to doing so sometime in the near future.
Splendid. No,
Where there's
absolutely.
much to do, but
Well, it's
we
not
will
like you don't know where to find us.
this is true.
Out of curiosity, how long had you all been there before we showed up?
An hour-ish.
Ah,
Yeah, just looking around, we heard a rumor that there was a good spot to be had there, and so we jumped at it and barely made it in under the wire before y'all lot showed up. But that's how fate weaves things together, I suppose.
Indeed. Well, that's just wonderful. It's been
Quite
a
so.
pleasure.
Likewise. Have a lovely rest of your evening.
You as well.
Have I spotted any of the walkabouts, by the way,
Turn
while I've
around.
been sitting here?
Oh, yes. They've been around.
Turn around, start drifting back, and very quietly, only so that these two can hear. I believe we're going to destroy that person at some point.
yes, I do
There's-
as well.
An almost imperceptible nod from Gale.
I make way back to the table.
All right.
As she
But-
keeps that sort of guarding position against this person.
Lark is going to whisper to Adele, we need to keep him close.
Yes. Absolutely. That's why I suggested a get-together.
Just
At-
plotting the death of another changeling.
No.
Must be a Wednesday.
Destroy.
Want to
political
get to know him.
Contact.
Destroy. Not slay, kill, murder, etc.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Many
You
ways.
Not yet, at least.
you can understand how I could mistake those for synonyms.
No, no,
There
no.
are
Remember, Adele is
many ways to destroy someone.
remember Adele is Autumn Court, not Summer Court.
Also, remember,
Summer Court
Gale's
just
a
kills you.
fucking housewife.
Also,
Destroy your life without ever touching you.
Adele very clearly, killing someone doesn't solve the problem.
That's
Fair for
true.
Adele.
Summer Court kills you. Autumn Court makes you wish you were dead. There's a difference.
Bingo. Hopefully, we will be able to have that little powwow at their place.
Yes.
I was just picturing Adele like trashing their place and making it look like an accident.
Bringing ghosts
We'll
in.
see.
I was going to say, this is a very strange accident. It's like someone released several badgers in here.
The bastards are
Accidentally.
invisible ghosts.
There were
Huh.
all these ghosts and spiders.
So yeah,
Anyway,
get back to the table, settle down.
Nero is just sitting at the table, reflexively cracking his knuckles back and forth and just staring at the table itself.
As
Are
we
you
get back
alright?
to the group, Gail's sort of looking over those who remained, making sure they're all okay.
He doesn't.
with an empathy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I realize that it's not always obvious, but she is trained to at least check their physical health.
Nero.
Yeah.
Nero does not immediately respond to Adele's question.
Lark is going to repeat the question. Are you okay, Nero?
0.
Hold on.
Phage seems
Everybody's
fine.
fine.
1.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Nero is not fine.
Yeah.
Adele will then sort of settle next to Nero.
I mean, Adele sat across from Nero.
Right.
Gale.
Gale.
There we go.
I will settle next to Nero if no one else is.
Yeah.
Gale takes control of Adele's firm and puppets her to go sit next to her.
This is where you would socially appropriately be seated. Don't move.
No, I'm fine. So he had a lot to say.
Yes.
Right.
We arranged for a at an indeterminate point, but a
Get together.
get together. Yes, with
Why?
with the Godforsaken. Many reasons.
We'd like to become good friends.
Yes.
Wha-
It only
Why?
makes sense to increase our ties to other Motleys, and learn more about them.
Oh, it's
You
fine.
know,
It's fine.
every time you say something with that tone of voice, I'm always certain there's some nefarious motive behind it.
I'm fine.
There
with
is nothing
It's-
nefarious
it's-
behind it.
It's fine.
And there's that tone of voice again.
There is, Sage dear, there is absolutely nothing nefarious about surviving.
See, that pause makes it even worse.
Or making friends.
In the middle of that, Neo kind of just pulls out his guitar and just plays a very dark chord, as in kind of just like every time Adele speaks,
Strong minor chord.
just like every time Adele speaks.
Yeah, I think the guitar might be the problem.
At least Neo agrees with me.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Sorry, what's supposed to happen next, Adele? Do you know?
I mean, at this point, I believe all of the official business is probably done.
Can I go see-
Yes.
Oh,
And
Jack,
you turn
were you
around
saying-
to see John Coffin standing rather
Ah,
to see
rise up,
Sorry, what was
Mr. Coffin.
Aaron? What were you trying to say?
Oh, sorry.
No, I was trying to redirect things towards Jack because he'd made sounds and no one
Oh.
had responded to them.
That was part of the fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I turn around as well and take a look.
That was
Mr.
also
Coffin.
me out of character, chuckling because Mr. Coffin is coughing. And it's kind of funny.
Oh no. He hears those puns all.
I'm sure.
Sick of them.
The Ashen Sovereign requests your presence.
Wonderful.
All of us.
Kindly follow me. Yes, a lot of you.
Well, I guess that makes it now then.
Get up.
And he very quickly glides towards the one of the non-used rooms that none of the courts had occupied.
Phage kind of instinctively heads to the front.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a number of individuals inside. All of the haunted waters are there. So Gilly, Acacia, Will, Hushabeth are all standing nearby. Gilly is, of course, seated by herself, still with that odd leafy crown just floating slightly above her head.
I sort of walk in. Queen, good to see you.
Excellent. You're here. There's a couple other people. Tag is there as well. You also see a Mr. Glare, the Cyclops, is standing nearby, quietly talking to to Tag. Well, we've got a lot of things to attend to, and of course the issue of the Commons and the Freehold will draw a great amount of its identity from its Commons. The two are fairly inextricably linked, is my understanding of the general dynamic. You understand we're still very much in the beginning stages, so much of this will be learned as we go, unfortunately. There's not exactly a 101 handbook to establishing your first freehold brochure that they hand out when you come out of the hedge.
Understandable. Have we got any locations in mind?
Well, as we've been discussing it with my cabinet, we are considering the fact that one of the stronger aspects that unfortunately was not touched on very deeply in the public forum, the ability for harvest at the location, especially if it's a place where all changelings will be welcome and where new arrivals, which we will probably still be seeing a number of if current trends continue. Basically, we need reliable sources, and those of us that have been here a while have managed to establish some, but we want something that's going to be a lot more accessible for a lot more people. So, despite our summer court friends' concerns about security and defense, we are going to try and go for a disparate, divided setting where it will be a location where the public, the mundanes, are invited in even, allowed to come and go as they please. There will be services of some sort that will attract, hopefully, a large number of them, hopefully of a wide variety of emotional states. And then, of course, more private chambers and quarters for members of our population.
We've actually had a bit of a conversation about this one. If you'd like to hear what our thoughts and ideas have been.
Absolutely, by all means.
Particularly for that instance, a sort of divided situation that you've mentioned, private clubs, art facilities, general places of, shall we say, entertainment. I partially lean to a club myself because, for instance, a specialty club caters to a lot of individuals' different needs, but also has a VIP wing where only certain privileged individuals are allowed, i.e. are members of our freehold.
Excellent.
Which could be very easily divided just by the space of a building into different sections for our changelings and our mundanes, which then gives easy access to any new changelings who are in need of glamour to simply walk into the less restricted areas of our particular club.
Very, very astute. Yes, that would probably serve the purposes quite admirably. And of course, your motley would be fairly well equipped, I think, to deal with the operations of that sort of facility.
Yes, the only note that we have made is that it would likely be a good idea for every court to have at least some presence. It's definitely a note that has been made that the court should likely play to their strengths in this facility, which would imply we want at least a few of our security to come from the summer court. We'd want some of our logistics from winter and spring. We'd want some of our reputation from fall and spring, or autumn and spring, wrong, correct, would use correct term, from autumn and spring, such as it is.
That sounds very wise and very politically astute of you. Congratulations. Well done. Yes, summer for security and winter for monitoring. Autumn and spring can handle a number of logistics, depending on the situation and what needs to be taken care of. And yes, no, I think that would work. That would work quite well. As far as facilities in question, I'll probably be consulting. I'll definitely be consulting with Ledger on that. If we can find a significant sized location, we may be able to do some of the more public and private engagements for the mundane side of things, with still plenty of room left over for those of our population who need.
I think, if possible, a location that can hit the widest variety of interests likely yields us the best possible results. Something for the artistic, something for those who seek entertainment, etc.
Exactly, yes. Kind of a club gallery combination, some
yes.
Art gallery during the day, club at night.
Interesting. Yes. No, that would be.
Many such modern areas, particularly those who might have performance art inclination, would be natural in that purpose to
which a number of Neofly Lark, both of you are performers, yes?
Yes.
Indeed.
Excellent.
I have some cachet
Quite
among
well.
certain club-going scenes.
Excellent. And of course, literary
Can
circles
contribute-
as well, from what I hear.
Of course, and am definitely willing to contribute financially.
And
Excellent.
I have a number of contacts that I can try to reestablish from my life before for more exotic tastes that people might have to bring a wider variety for our harvest.
She gives you a very keen look and seems to know exactly what you're talking about.
I had criminal informants. I dated one of them.
Excellent. Well, in that case, yes, I think you all will work quite admirably as curators and caretakers for commons. And can consider that a completed decision then on my part. And now for the less pleasant aspect that I need to discuss with you. I've spoken with some of the leaders of the other courts regarding some of the recent developments. Tell me about this murder. And that's where we're going to end our season.
All right, so this is the season finale of season 1 of Changeling the Lost in Grover Green. Let us know what you think. We will be coming back for season 2 sometime, probably next summer, fall-ish.
Yep.
Coming up next week is going to be the beginning of L5R, Shadows in the Valley, which is L5R is Legend of Five Rings. It is a samurai, Japanese mythology and social focused RPG series run by myself, starring several of these same people. It's going to be bridging the gap between Changeling and our Werewolf West Rising campaign that's going to be starting sometime in the new year. So come back next week for some feudal Japan drama, intrigue, and action. In the meantime, thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.